I'm Thomas, and this is Rachel, and I came from a traditional marketing agency background, did a lot of many years there, and then moved over to a social media company because I was fascinated with digital marketing at the time. I was a creative director there, and what I was finding was for people to use our tools, they needed content. And at that time, I decided I would take my passion for endurance sports and running and start Big Run Media. And we've been around now for 5 years. Also, this is the biggest group I've ever spoken in front of, so take it easy on me. And this presentation was originally set to be an hour, and we're going to cover it in a half an hour. So it's going to be a little bit higher level, and we'll have time with a panel afterwards to answer in-depth questions, and we will be around at the happy hour if you still have questions. So let's get started. Or if you just like drinking, because I do like drinking. All right, so the agenda today, we're going to talk about the importance of digital marketing for race directors. We're going to cover branding, organic social media, paid digital marketing, and then hopefully have some key takeaways that you'll be able to use on your own after this event. Get right started with your marketing, and there'll be some tips that will be useful for you. So why has digital marketing become so important for race directors? Is anybody here feeling like it's not important or not something that you need to be focusing on? Because maybe you're at the wrong presentation, but hopefully all of you have bought in at this point and understand that the new place, you used to be able to put up a sign at a run store or word of mouth would sell on your event. Now there's so much competition and runners are on social media. So it's where you can reach them. All right, one of the most important things we're going to talk about in the beginning here is how do you start, where do you go, and you got to have your branding set up. So when we talk about branding, we're not just talking about your logo or your t-shirt for your event. We're talking about the whole experience, the emotional connection people are going to have with your event and the expectation they have when they run your event. And we want to be able to reinforce that to people who have already been in the event, and then again, we want to set that expectation for people who are going to sign up for your event. So I can give you an example of two brands that sell the same thing, Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. The only difference between them, well, some may say quality, but the only real difference is the way that they brand themselves. If you look at Starbucks, what they're selling you is sophistication and community. They put Wi-Fi in the stores so that you'll stay there and you'll have meetings there. They have communal tables. They have special names for the drink. You can have a venti, a grande, however you're going to order it, you have to almost speak a new language to get what you want at Starbucks. Meanwhile, you go over to Dunkin', America runs on Dunkin', solid American brand, fuel yourself up for a great day at work, whatever. Same product, different way to brand it, and it attracts different people. So some of the things your brand should have is a consistent voice. It's very important that everybody on your team understands what your goals are for your brand and how you communicate them. You want to be easily recognizable. That means keeping color palettes the same, fonts the same. Have your stuff branded all the way across with your logo so that if it's shared, it's going all the way across. And you want it all to build trust. So there's a lot of events out there. And I've heard people say when they're signing up for an endurance event, they don't want to do the first year of an event or something. They're not sure the timing's going to be correct. They're not sure that they're going to get the product they want. So it's even more important to start off with good branding if you're new or it's a new race so that people have a sense of quality and a sense of trust actually in the product.
Right, and Thomas, you know what? The trust, it takes a lot of little things to build trust, but then it only takes one thing to completely destroy it. So keep that in the front of your mind. That branding needs to be consistent across social media, your emails, your website, all of it.
Targeting for your event. One of the things you want to do is you can spread your money out and try to hit everybody. But not everybody is your target. You really want to focus on your core runners. So if you're a 5K, you're not marketing to marathoners to do your event. Your first initial target is going to be that center. And what you want to do is you want to really focus, figure out who your target audience is, where they are on Facebook, how they're interacting with your brand, and hit that. Trust me, that center target will get larger as you get more people involved. But the same thing goes true if you flip it. BQ marathoner person is not the same person going for a 5K. So you really want to make sure you know, and later on we're going to talk about audience building. You want to know who you're marketing to and focus your money there and focus your time there. Let's get into organic social media. Some people, they think it could be a waste of time to spend all that time on Facebook creating posts. It's not, and we'll explain how. Here's an example of an organic campaign that we did for, happens to be a RunSignup customer, the Baltimore Marathon. And what we did here was, it was actually a great lesson for us as well. The event happens in October, so March is pretty far for signing up or registering for this event. But they have enough medals that we were able to tie into March Madness and create a way for people to engage with the brand and vote on the medals. So what happened was we put stuff on Facebook, we put it on Instagram and Instagram stories, and asked people to vote on their favorite medal, and at the end, it was a bracket system, just like March Madness, went down to the winner. Now you might say, oh, that's great, people were in there, but engaging with the brand was really important. And one of the things it did was it created a $1.67 conversion rate when after we took the people that engaged in these posts and we put them into an audience on Facebook and then did just a standard ad, not even a call to action ad, not a price increase. All right, having a little trouble with the mic. Not a price increase or anything like that, just a standard ad. We converted at $1.67 per registration.
I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty great. Considering the value of a registration is like more than $70.
And if you don't, if it's new to you, the cost conversion, basically for every $1.67 we spent on ads, we got somebody to sign up for the race. This is a race that's in October. This is in March. And the other thing it does is it puts into mind people thinking about that medal. They're talking to friends, and the sooner that we can get someone signed up for a race, they're going to talk somebody into running that race with them. Nobody wants to run alone.
Exactly. And you know what? I could have seen this story, sent it over to Thomas, and been like, hey, remember this race we ran in 2014? Why don't we do it again this year?
Yeah. What do runners want to know on social media? So a lot of them, you've seen it. They post their Strava. They post, pictures of their run. So those are some of the things that are going on there. Running motivation and training tips. People want to know, we do a lot of organic posts that are motivational posts. We do a lot of training tips. You can pair up with a local running store or a coach and get content that way. But it's a fantastic way to increase your organic content. What we see that doesn't work is the feeds that have a lot of promotion in them. So if you're always asking people to sign up and always pushing for signups, people tune you out, they stop following your Facebook, you lose them and you lose that community. And it's important because you're going to need that community to market to and create lookalike audiences and everything else. So the other thing we see is people reposting bad gifts, memes.
Oh man, anybody know e-bibs? Yeah, come on. Yeah. Those, you're marketing e-bibs, not your race.
And the problem with that is when you do that and somebody shares that post or shares something from your page, it's not branded yours, it's branded e-bibs, so you're actually just promoting e-bibs and not your race. You want to build that engaged community on your organic social. It's really going to help build your audiences later. And you're looking at the 80-20% rule or 80-20 rule. You really wanted to have 80% of your content be valuable content to the people that are coming to your site. Stuff they can't find on Runner's World, stuff specific to your event. So when we talk about, you can sometimes just take your FAQ page, how many porta potties you're going to have, where buses pick you up, where packet pickup's going to be. It's all valuable content to people as they're going through their feed that you don't have to then answer those questions. Well, you probably still have to answer those questions for people, let's be honest. But you'll have it out there and it gives you something that's unique that you can talk about. Facebook is now putting a lot of emphasis on events and groups. And first we'll talk about events here. So when you set up an event, say that you have a marathon weekend, don't just put the marathon weekend as the event. Give each event its own event so that you're going to have your 5K, your half. So it goes into people's feeds. If they interact with it, say they're interested or say they're going, you can put them into a new audience that we'll talk about in paid again. So it's another way to start building that community and building your audiences for that.
Oh, can you go back 1 second?
Yeah.
Sorry, Facebook events. So if you click that you're interested in an event, because you clicked you're interested, the algorithms now make it so that your friends see that you've clicked you're interested.
Yes.
They will see that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to see it. It's got a bunch of benefits. Now, if they've hit the interested, they're in an audience that I can say, this is my interested audience. They might be that person that I want to tip over with like a, what do you want me to use it? Is this it? Is it on?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it then goes into their feed and says, hey, this person's also interested in this event. And hopefully, FOMO happens, or they weren't aware of your event, now they are.
And as a manager of a Facebook event, if you continually put out information on the event, it's going to keep feeding that event, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So especially if someone's interacted with it.
Yes.
So
it's also a great way to keep people informed about your event, or like kind of introduce them to the brand of your event with some interesting content like a premium teaser or a reveal or a price increase, so that anybody who has responded to that event will then get notified that there's been a post and be like, oh crap, there's a price increase, I should get on this now.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. Groups are also the other area that is growing. And the importance of groups are, if you've been on Facebook for a while, you've friended all your high school friends. You've friended your mom, your relative. Groups are a way for you to meet new people and have shared interests with people. So we use groups specifically for different reasons, but one of the things that we find really successful with groups is that's where we manage our ambassadors. So we can create a private group for our ambassadors, and then we can feed them content that we'd like them to share. And for us, I know people have different expectations from ambassadors. We've had really good success with having about 10% of registrations come from ambassadors. So when we set up a group and we work with them, we vet them, put them into a group like this and provide them with content to share. We'll have an event that will have around 5,000 registrations, and 500 of those will come from ambassadors. So it can, if you put in the time, it's worth it to create that kind of community. I want to talk about photography. If you can, have people there, not just taking pictures of the bib runners, like you have the people on the course getting their picture taken. What we really want is to be able to create the emotional expectation for the event, going back to the branding that we talked about in the beginning. So if you can have somebody at the start, capturing those jitters, catching the nervousness, everybody knows that feeling. Camaraderie, friends, especially like this was a picture from a relay group. I mean, these emotional shots sell races. And I'm telling you, from all our experience with all the different races that we work with, emotional shots like this translate into registrations. And who doesn't want to feel like Julio here when they cross the finish line? So if you can, finish line photos, just the feeling of the event, what we're trying to do is set that expectation. So when I'm going through the feed and I'm like, I want to run a race, and this race is saying to me, I can get this feeling at this race, I'm in. So we're going to get into the paid digital marketing. This is where Rachel really shines. She manages a lot of our clients' paid digital accounts. And so let's hop in, Rachel.
All right, pixels and tracking setup. So this is so important. I really can't stress it enough. If you don't have your Facebook pixel and your Google ads, sorry.
I said, hey, Facebook charges for everything. So you're saying Facebook event is free?
Facebook events are free.
Yes.
And then Facebook groups also free?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
So is your Facebook page. Any organic content.
Yeah.
We're always looking for a way to maximize the organic interactions and get people involved with the event before we start spending money. And the larger you can grow your organic side, the bigger audience you have for your paid side. So they change things up. They put emphasis on different things. Right now, their emphasis is on events and groups.
So with the pixels and tracking setup, if you don't have them set up on your website, you're essentially just shooting in the dark. So these pixels and tags are essentially the only way that Facebook and Google Ads can communicate with your website. Having them properly installed enables you to see how your ads are performing and if they're resulting in registrations. Who doesn't love a little return on investment, right? Lucky for you guys though, RunSignup makes it incredibly easy to set these up in the back end, and they also make it super easy to track dynamic values. That means that whenever somebody registers for your event, the exact amount that they paid for that registration is going to be pulled into your reporting, so that at the end of the race, when you're tracking your return on investment, so you can see if you're actually effectively using your marketing spend, you're going to get a true return on investment rather than just an estimated return based on the average registration value.
And that is one great thing that we do enjoy about working with RunSignup is the ability to really track exactly where the spend is going. So we can see, we can put unique URLs on emails, on display ads, outside of Facebook, but we can also do it in Facebook and see exactly where we're being effective with our marketing.
So Facebook and Instagram ads. With digital marketing, you can have a great experience and get a lot more participants at your next event, or you can waste your money on just ads that weren't set up properly because they're targeting an incorrect audience. So when you're setting up your ads, you want to have a couple of things to keep in mind. Your audiences and targeting. Like Thomas mentioned earlier, if you have a marathon, you're not going to target the 5K runners, because while it's possible that a 5K runner might be interested in a marathon, they're not your target. So you need to remember to focus on what you know rather than what you hope. Another thing that we want to talk about is copy. So I know that since you're paying for the ad, you're going to feel super inclined to share everything that's great about your event, but short, sweet, to the point. Trust me, that's the way it goes. Trust in the process. The creative. We're going to hammer this part in a lot, as you could tell by all of the photos we just showed you, but that emotional connection is incredibly important for your ads. In fact, that image of Julio would probably just get a click-through all on its own, regardless of the copy. And then finally, the landing page. Super important that it's mobile friendly. And again, another bonus with RunSignup, that's already handled for you, so you don't even have to worry about it.
You want the least amount of time on there to sign up as possible if you have a warm audience. So if you're going on a landing page, so setting it up and it's a new person, I won't get too far into this because we're going to get into it in a second, but you want to have that landing page to give them some information.
I have a quick question, and I know you might be a little bit biased because you guys are from Big Run Group, but
Okay.
there's a lot of different companies that will call us and offer us that they will handle setting up all of our Facebook ads, third-party people that geniuses like yourselves that know how to do this. A lot of times they're asking for like 15 to 20% commission on top of whatever the ad spend is. Do you find that the efficiency that a third-party group uses makes up for that 15 to 20% that we could be putting towards the actual ad spend if we do it ourselves?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, and I think it depends.
I would say, first off, we don't charge our clients a percentage of their ad spend. That's just not something. I came from a traditional agency, and they used to charge 17.9% of the budget for ad and take it as profit. Our goal is to create value for our clients and to create registrations. So we're trying to work with them as a partner more than service. So that's my pitch. But in your case, it really depends on the knowledge of the person setting up the ad.
Yeah, and a lot of the time
The problem is that when you're looking at building audiences and creating those audiences, we're in a specific industry, and it's great if you come in from an outside agency and say, okay, but a warm and cold audience for a running event and lookalike audience and doing all that stuff, it's kind of specific to what you're trying to achieve. So, yeah, you could have somebody who really knows setting up ads well, but it also, the other thing I would think about in that case is, are they doing a funnel? Like, are they creating, is it just in Facebook that you're spending that money, or are they tying it and making a cohesive marketing plan for you so that you really are getting the bang out of your buck?
And then just slight in addition to that, if they're not well-versed in the running industry, there's a good chance that they're going to be more on that side that's like, oh, I'm going to set up an interest group. I'm doing a marathon. Let's just target everybody who's interested in running. Yeah. I'm going to tell you that's going to waste your money.
We have seen that. And that is a problem with Facebook advertising. If you set it up wrong, Facebook doesn't tell you because they're just taking your money.
So with the RunSignup integration, you're saying that because you can go on Facebook and you can create an ad and it could be totally off with your targeting, you could be thinking all this stuff. But you're saying to set your ad up, you can do it through RunSignup so that it has a unique code, and then put it into Facebook. That way, you know where this stuff is coming from.
Well, that all comes along with the pixel. So when you're setting up the pixel, you would take that instruction manual and basically just go into RunSignup and put it in that way. And then that's all you need to do for Facebook in RunSignup. Then it's done. And then they're going to be tracking it from your Erase website. And then the rest of it is done inside Facebook Ads Manager.
But yeah, I mean, we'll go into more questions at that panel. So we'll answer a lot of these questions. But I mean, we can certainly stop for some, but we'll go through. All right, so setting up audiences is super important. And we talked a little bit about warm and cold audiences. Obviously, Rachel, you want to tell them what a warm and cold audience is?
Yeah, so a warm audience is basically anybody who's familiar with your event. So that would be past participants, anybody that's in your email database, and website visitors, and of course, that Facebook and Instagram engaged. You can retarget all of them in your warm audiences. And then on the flip side of that is your cold audience, which would be anyone who's not familiar with your event. So those are your lookalike audiences, your interest groups, anybody in your geo-targeting, friends of page likes. And then something very key to remember with these audiences is that you're trying to build the fire of interest. So the best thing you can do with your cold audiences is just to let them burn.
Yeah, and this goes back to your question about hiring people outside. If they understand your warm and cold audiences and how to turn them into a warm audience, and then what to do with them from there. And we'll talk about the funnel in just a sec. So here's an example of a typical Facebook ad. So why don't you walk through why this one's effective?
All right, so this is for the Oakland Running Festival. As you can see, we've got a little arrow here pointing to the header, which is a very strong call to action, creates a little bit of urgency because it's for Global Running Day. This is one day in the year, so it's very urgent. If you want to save $10, you got to do it now. Another thing when setting up with copy, you want to make sure that you're talking to the audience that you're targeting. So that means if you're targeting warm audiences, you can talk to them as if they already somewhat know your event. But if you're talking to your cold audiences, you need to give them a little more information, like the date, the location, so that they're not completely blindsided by this ad.
Yeah, and it's not an accident that the save $10 with the GRD 19 code is the boldest thing on the ad.
Makes big impact.
Yeah, that's the message, and click through.
Yeah, and then always proofread your ads, and then do it again because you will miss something. And then if you have a couple of different versions of copy that you want to test, do it. Have a couple of ads running because then Facebook will choose whichever one is performing best.
Yeah. And you can also watch in the back end to see which ones are performing better. All right, and then you're moving over to Instagram. And what's awesome we're seeing a lot of growth in Instagram right now. So there's a lot of things you can do to market now there. Since most sites are mobile friendly, you're able to also use stories to swipe up and immediately go into registration. You can notice on the images we try to use 20% rule for text. It's got to be smaller than 20% of the image. Now, what's great is Instagram is rolling out to certain clients right now, or customers, the ability to create templates and stories so they can be animated and move through, and they're really easy to set up. Not everybody has them rolled out right now, but we're seeing really nice conversion rates from them as well. So why don't we walk them through? I actually just talked about the 20% rule, so we can skip that.
So with the 20% rule, your photos do need to take center stage. So again, photos capture the emotion of the event, guys. So if you think about comparing it to a stock photo or any kind of just random runner, if you see an ad with someone just running, not looking at the camera, and it's not really in focus, you're going to be less inclined to click on that ad versus the one of Julio.
Faces sell. And so carousel ads are great because you can put in, like if you're doing a medal reveal, t-shirt, or any swag, it's a great way for people to swipe through and see all the images. So we see a nice interaction with them as well. We talked a little bit about audience BQs versus 5K people, but make sure you're aware with content. And here's some examples of ones that we've had success with. Videos do really, really well. They're a little more expensive and harder to produce, But you can get past the 20% rule because if your cover image on the video has less than 20%, you can then give more information as the video rolls through. So you set up the cover image in Facebook like this, 20% text on it, and then once it plays, give them all the information you want. But it's also, my video has more emotion obviously than photos.
Right.
Again, we work with Snohomish. They always had great photos, finish line photos, and if you can get Kara Gauscher to run your event, it makes a lot of impressions, so it's very helpful. So any celebrities you have or anybody that is recognizable, obviously, great ad in the ads. Same thing on Instagram. You're going to see nobody's dying here, nobody's suffering through it like a sufferfest. These are all those celebratory finish line photos and feeling great.
Yeah, and you notice that logo? Those logos in the back there and on the shirts? Just keeping that brand consistent.
All right, why don't you talk about landing pages?
So the landing page is super important. And like Thomas mentioned a little bit earlier, the least amount of clicks that it will take for them to register once they get to your site is the best. However, with your cold audiences, because they're not that familiar with your event, you need to make sure that you're using a learn more call to action and then going to the homepage of your site, whereas your warm audiences probably don't need all that. They can just go straight to your registration page.
It's also very important to make sure that you have HTTPS on your website as a secure socket layer. And the reason you want that is we're going to spend money in Google next, and you're not going to get as much traffic to a site that isn't secure. Plus, it builds, again, trust for the person coming in and spending their money there, even if you're transferring over to a RunSignup that has HTTPS for checkout.
Why didn't you use the landing page? Why can't you take it from your Facebook ad directly to your registration portal?
Well, that's a good question. We kind of covered that a little bit, but it said if they don't know anything about your event, you want to give them a little information background before they're going to be ready to sign up. If it's the warm audience, we almost always just send them straight to register now. So the least amount of clicks for a warm audience. But if you have somebody who has, like in the cold audience, you want to get them in, know about the event. They're probably more concerned what time of year is it, what type of course is it flat and fast, those type of questions. Again, mobile friendly. A lot of these ads that we're setting up on Instagram, the only way to get from Instagram to your site is mobile. People are looking at Instagram on mobile, and they're going to convert on mobile. So Google Ads. All right, Rach.
All right, so with Google Ads, we have 3 tiers. You can do Google Search, which is when anybody is searching for your event or any event, you want yours to be at the top. And then Google Display, which are banner ads that you could see on Runner's World and any other kind of sites like that. And then Google Video, which are your YouTube ads that roll pre-roll, post-roll,
yeah.
That kind
And we're
of stuff.
experimenting with the YouTube right now as far as ads go, so we don't have as much data on whether or not the YouTube ads are really converting at a high level. But we should have, information on that coming up pretty soon. Trying it out.
Setting up your Google search keywords. Big part here is thinking about what your participants or what your target audience is going to be searching for. So if you have a flat, fast course, maybe include that in your search terms. Or if it's a fun family 5K, typing that in and using that in your keywords can really get you some more reach and awareness there. And of course, don't be afraid to bid against your competitors with your competitor keywords. So if you have, if you know that there's another 5K or even just another race in your area or near your area, go ahead and use their keywords in your campaign. And then whenever they're searching for that event, you're getting that event awareness. Even if they're not looking for that competitor so that they can, find a new race, you're still getting someone interested in your event who's interested in similar events.
Yeah, and this is key. So say that you are in an area where there's an event that has 15,000 runners or 20,000 runners, and you're a smaller event, and you can buy against that keyword and show up when people search for that event. It may not turn into a conversion where it goes over your site, but you're not paying for it if it's not clicked. So it's still a way for you to get awareness for your event and let people know that it's in that area.
All right, so when you're setting up your Google search ads and pretty much for your display ads too, you want to remember 4 key things. Your event name and the distances that you offer. Those are kind of obvious. And then the date of your event, the location of your event, and then the perks and any unique offerings that you can provide either in the descriptions or in your call-out extensions. If we were to give you an example for a location, for instance, perhaps somebody searched 5K race in Delaware, and the ad pops up for the Delaware Running Festival, and their description has copy about the flat, fast 5K course.
And so, just to be clear, Google search ads look like this versus the display ads. So it doesn't have much about your event other than the 4 things that Rachel just discussed.
Right, and then this is a pro tip. If you got any price increases coming up, or if you want to create just a little bit more urgency, you can use the dynamic countdown functions, so that if you're trying to get people to react to the price increase, or even a countdown to race day, or the end of a promotion, you can do that here by listing it in one of the headlines.
And it's dynamic, so you don't have to go back and change it every
Yes.
day. It'll automatically roll down. All right, so these are the display ads that we were talking about. And what I love about display ads is you can go in and you can pick the sites where they're going to be. And it's funny, we have a client who called us and said he saw his ad on Runner's World, had no idea how it got on Runner's World. We had to explain that that was part of a Google display ad purchase that we did, and that you can actually choose sites like Runner's World and have it in there. And I think it does a great job for giving your event legitimacy when you can brand it. It's kind of like when you go to the supermarket and they say Jiffy peanut butter and these peanut butter crackers. It's just like, oh, that's a little better than just standard peanut butter. I don't know why, but it is. But you can associate yourself with brands.
Right, and another thing about these Google display ads, though they're not necessarily the best for converting, they are really great for building the awareness. A good way to think about it, if you're skeptical, is what do you think the chances are that somebody will sign up for your race if they've never seen it before, or if they've seen it everywhere, such as Runner's World, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube? Like, think about it.
Yeah, and again, if they don't click through, it's not, you're not spending all your budget.
Right?
So we're going to walk you through basically a funnel. And this will kind of answer some of your questions about even the Facebook side of things. So some of the things that we just talked about here, there's a whole purpose for what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people into your system. Once they're in your system, like if you go to look at a pair of Nikes, and then the next thing you know, you're on Facebook and there's a Nike slider in your Facebook, this is what just happened to you. So typical runner goes in, searches 5Ks in my area, or half marathon in my area, or marathons in Nebraska, gets served a search ad that we just saw. That takes them to your website. You had your pixel set up correctly on your website because you're using RunSignup, and it fires. So now that person is in your audience. You got them. So they go to Facebook, and all of a sudden, what do they see? They see one of your ads that you put in there.
Or even a boosted post.
Even a boosted post. If they engage with it, now you can put them, they like it, send it to a friend, comment on it, whatever. That's the thumbs up. They go into another, you put them into another audience, the engaged audience that knows about your event. They're a hot prospect now. You don't even have to serve them, save $5. You can just serve them a regular ad now, and they see it. They're aware of it from this ad. They see it again over here. They pop it here, and that's usually when we see it convert into a registration. So this is just one way that you can create that funnel. But there's a lot of different ways that once you get somebody into the pixel or get somebody into your engaged Facebook or Instagram feed, you've got them locked.
Yeah.
So let's go over some of the key takeaways. Obviously, you want to have a clear understanding of your brand and be able to communicate it effectively. You want to make sure that your social reflects the voice. Make sure everybody on your team understands, even volunteers when they come to your water stands, what the type of emotion or what kind of connection you're trying to create with your event. And Rachel, what about pixels?
If you don't have them set up, guys, it's like we weren't even up here. Come on.
Yeah, you're wasting money if you don't have your Google tags and your pixels set up. It's just the easiest way to track how your money is being spent. And at the end of the day, it's registrations and how much they're costing you, and you can take a look at your marketing budget. Now, we do have some clients that want awareness, and so they're going to spend a little bit more. He has a large budget, doesn't mind, he just wants people to know about his event, but it's still building those audiences when they turn into a warm person after that. But again, registrations are key. So once you have people in there with your pixel, make sure that you're setting up your custom audiences. Make sure you're setting up your lookalike audience. Give us some of the standards.
Your website visitors, your Facebook engaged, your Facebook event
Previous-
engaged. Yeah.
previous runners.
participants.
Yeah. So get those good photos, get those good videos. If you don't have a bank of them now, pay a little extra, get somebody at the finish line, start line, medals, all of that.
If you think it won't move the needle, I'm telling you, it will.
And a clear call to action, obviously. Let people know what they're getting, what you want them to get out of it. Covered that. And then continually optimizing your ads. Like we said, Facebook will take your money. And if you're not paying attention, they'll just eat it away.
Yeah,
So-
usually if anybody comes to us and says, like, we've spent like $50,000 this year on Facebook and only got like 10 registrations in return, my first question is, are you optimizing? And I know that sounds very intimidating because what does that mean? But some quick tips for Facebook. In the Ads Manager, you can use a breakdown. Check your ages, your placements, your locations. Are you spending more per click in certain areas or for certain ages? Maybe adjust your targeting to do that. And then for Google Ads, check your search terms. Those are on the same page as the keywords, all the way on the right tab. And if somebody is searching for the Run 3 game, and you're paying $4 for that click, they are not searching for your race. They're not even interested in running. It's a dumb game on your iPhone. Exclude it.
Yeah. And obviously, everything that we talked about today is available. We have a free download on our website. Total transparency. It can cover if you have somebody on your staff or have people that can handle all the things we can handle. They can use the guide. Pretty much tells you everything you need to know. So that's there. What you just did though is you fired our pixel and now you're in our system.
Hey,
So
gotcha.
that's our hook. But yeah, all the information is there. It's if you're a smaller event just getting started, if you want to download the guide, you can just it will go through all this in detail. We try to make it as valuable as possible.
Right, and if you still don't know what a pixel is, it's covered more in there. I know this is very high level, but you can get more information in there.
Yeah. Do we have time for any questions, or should we just move straight into the panel?
I think we hybrid it. So,
Okay.
Okay.
First of all, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for coming. I'm a little disappointed. The last time I saw this presentation, you had a lot of jokes.
I did,
But it was
shorter
abbreviated.
time.
Yeah.
Shorter time.
It's some really good jokes.
Yeah.